Welcome back to Digital Asset News, where we take the top stories in cryptocurrency and digital assets and break them down into bite-sized pieces. Before we start, let's do a little housekeeping. First of all, this is for entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor, not a financial planner, and this is for entertainment purposes at large. Secondly, help us slay the YouTube algorithm, and the only way that you can help us do that is by hitting that like button, commenting on this video, and subscribing. Without you doing one of those three things, this video won't go too far. So we greatly appreciate it if you could just do one of those three things, and let's move on to today's video. So really there's only one thing I felt like we should talk about. This is such a big deal as far as XRP and the US government that I think this is the big thing moving forward. And it's amazing to me that this type of information, if we were in 2017, and for those of you who weren't around 2017, it was awesome. Everything was going up. There was no red days. It was to the moon and moon Lambos, and everything was awesome, and nothing could lead us down to the bottom. Well, news like this, if we got this news that XRP was being mentioned by the US government, the price of XRP would have gone up so dramatically that, who knows, it could have overtaken Bitcoin. Well, it couldn't have overtaken Bitcoin because it wasn't on Coinbase at this point, because Coinbase has their own agenda and what they do, and for some reason they decided to add it in 2019. So yeah, but if it was there, I guarantee it would have overtaken Bitcoin at this point. And who knows what will happen in the future? I have no idea. Bitcoin could be the big thing. XRP could do it. Ethereum, Raven, I don't know whatever's out there. You never know. You never know. But this information was pretty great as I was reading through it. So Ripple and XRP was mentioned in an official U.S. bill proposal. So Ripple's XRP was mentioned in relation to cross-border payment systems in the proposed bill text. The pending action, a document on remittance transfers under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act, is still in discussion until January 2021. Okay, so right here, this is what's wrong with government. We know, well, I believe that we need government regulation to step in and stop all this goddamn scams and all these different problems that are going on with cryptocurrency. Now, it can't clean up everything, but for Pete's sakes, I mean, we've seen scam after scam after scam, these ICOs that pump and dump. It's just insane to think about. So this docket, this bill is being put forward, and they're just in discussion, and it won't be voted on or done really anything with until January 2021. We're looking at a complete year. That's amazing to me and anybody out there that knows anything about technology. Things move so fast. In 2021, what's going to happen to fiat? What's going to happen to central banks? What's going to happen to the government? What's going to happen to the economy? What's going to happen with technology and how cryptocurrency and digital assets help and move things across the world? I got to tell you, this bill that's being talked about, I mean, it's great that they're doing something, but for God's sakes, in a year from now, I don't know what they think, that they think that this is all going to stay the same and that only incremental progress will happen. It's insane. However, let's just keep moving forward. And it talks about the document. The document does not mention other payment platforms or blockchain specifically, and XRP has been singled out as a digital asset related to a unique remittance system. Well, that's for sure. Still, the proposed legislation on protecting remittances does not involve an insurance of transfers on other blockchain networks, but only fiat. So this is the thing. As things move forward, who knows what's going to happen with fiat? There's a lot of different central banks. Numerous banks in Spain and France and Europe, Germany, they're all talking about it. And I can guarantee that the central banks in America are doing the same thing, just not as vocal. But they're all talking about blockchain networks using stable coins, using their own coins, which is, whatever. But for right here, they're only talking about fiat because that's really all they know. Remember, you have congressmen and senators who, the average age, I can't even tell you, but just looking at, if you watch C-SPAN, you can tell the average age is 60 or above. So for them to take a look at this and go, yeah, I get it, I understand it, there's no way that could happen. And the only way that can happen is if somebody comes in who is a peer, who is on their same level, who knows exactly about these things. And I think that Kelly Loeffler, who was the Bakkt CEO, who was just appointed last week to be the senator of Georgia, is a huge catalyst for the cryptocurrency and digital asset community. I did a video about it not too long ago, talked about Senator Bitcoin, but I believe that by her going there, it is like I don't want to say a virus, that's a bad way to say it, but an infusion of positive, progressive ideas that can lead to adoption of cryptocurrency and digital assets. Imagine if you had a group of people on a committee, on a finance committee, who are made of Congress people who were born in the 40s and 50s, and they're talking to themselves about, well, these digital assets, this makes no sense to me. I know money. I know how to write a check. I know how to do all these old things. They have no idea what's going on. I mean, and people can come in there and try to teach them, but look, if you don't grow up with it or you don't know it and you haven't really taken the time to look into it, you're not going to understand it. And it's going to be it'd be like speaking Greek to them. They just won't understand. However, I think with Kelly Loeffler in there, as she starts to be put on these finance committees and hopefully starts to take charge of these different things, then I think things will change. But for right now, that's why I thought this was interesting how it only talked about fiat settlements. It makes sense, though, because, I mean, look who's doing it. Anyhow, I want to take a look at the actual document itself, the actual federal registration. So here's what it talked about. Let's just say this. This is a huge document, So you don't want to go through all this stuff. So XRP was mentioned once, and Ripple was mentioned 8 times. 6 of those, or 5 of those, were just in a reference point. But to get to the crux of it, to get to the main meat and potatoes that is important to us, this report, or this bureau, observed that the remittance market has undergone substantial change since the rule became effective. The assessment report describes several developments regarding the growth and incorporation of innovative technologies by providers of cross-border money transfers and other companies that support such providers. The Bureau has continued to monitor the remittance transfer market since the publication of the assessment report and observed that most of these development continues to progress. Examples include, and this is where it gets to it, 1, the continued growth and expanding functionality of the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, or SWIFT, which SWIFT has a global payment innovation, or GPI, tracking product. And the only thing this thing does is it can increase the amount of upfront information available to the sending institutions, and the expansion of the major payment cards network's capacity to support cross-border payments. So really what this does is like a functionality for SWIFT. When the banks are trying to transfer money, let's say from the US to Bulgaria or wherever, it doesn't matter, they want to know, like, what are the fees? Well, you have to do all these little jumps around from bank to bank to bank because banks don't trust each other, just like we don't trust banks, which I think is hilarious. Not even the banks trust each other. So what they're doing is, like, we want to know how much it's going to cost us because we have to put this in our ledger, in our books, to see how much this is going to be for a cost analysis. Are we making money? Are we losing money? So what this does, it helps them know the upfront cost. Great. It also helps with functionality to get them into more of these networks. Fantastic. And that's good for them, right? However, if I'm a business bank, I want that, and I also want this to not be so goddamn expensive because it's killing me in fees. SWIFT is making a killing in fees. What do? Well, there's this new product, and it's pretty awesome, and it's called XRP. There's this on-demand liquidity, and it's like a fraction of the cost that you'll pay, and the people pay less, and everybody's happy, and it doesn't take 2 or 3 fucking days. It takes like, I shouldn't have said that word, I apologize. It only takes seconds, so there's no volatility. Well, that sounds pretty good, let's sign up for that. Oh, well, yeah, but it's new, and we don't like things new because we're central banks. Great. Anyhow, moving forward, not to get off on a rant, this part of where it talks about XRP. And 3, the continued growth and expanding partnerships of virtual currency companies such as Ripple, which offer both a payments messaging platform to support cross-border money transfers, as well as a proprietary virtual currency XRP, which can be used to effect settlement of those transfers. And as we keep looking down, it talks about the Bureau and what they believe, what they think is going to happen. So the Bureau believes that expanded adoption of Swift's GPI product or Ripple's suite of products could similarly allow banks and credit unions to know the exact final amount that recipients of remittance transfers will receive before they send the transfer. So right there. So Ripple is going to do the exact same thing as Swift. It's going to allow them to understand upfront costs. Oh, and by the way, it's way cheaper. If I'm a business, banks are businesses. That's all they are. They're going to go for the cheaper option as time goes on. I am not in the business to lose money. I'm in the business to make money. Okay, it says, however, based on comments that banks, credit unions, and their trade associations submitted in response to 2019 RFI and the Bureau's own market monitoring, the Bureau believes it is unlikely in the short to medium term that the developments described above will be able to fully eliminate reliance on the correspondent banking networks as the predominant method for banks and credit unions to send remittance transfers. So what it's saying here is these central banks aren't going to go away. They're going to need this type of technology to move things about, but they're not going to totally sidestep the banks. And I think they have to say those types of things because if I'm a central bank, I'm worried. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So you're telling me that we can do a digital currency. People can pay, doesn't matter where they're at, in seconds, and the fees are super low? Well, what do I fit in? I want to get paid. Well, yeah, of course. So when they say things like this, they're like, well, calm down, central banks. It's going to be all right. Here's your bottle. Don't cry. All right. Now it talks about there are thousands of financial institutions worldwide that could receive remittance transfers. So there's a note that you can see here. It says this is exactly why the U.S. will be left in the dust. And I'm going to get to that in the very next sentence, and that is pretty much it for this report. But it says here, it may be costly, excessively time-consuming, or otherwise difficult to enroll all or even most of these institutions, especially the smaller ones. Costly. And that's just it. It isn't a cost type of issue. It's a cost-saving measure. So when they look at these types of things, I don't think they're getting the full picture. They're not getting the full report about what XRP can absolutely do because they're only used to the things that they know about. Swift they know about. XRPs and blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, and digital assets are kind of out of their wheelhouse. So that's why I'm excited about these people that are going to Congress, especially the new senator, Kelly Loeffler, as she gets in there and starts to talk about, hey, this is what we can do with blockchain. This is how we can make things move freely, become more transparent, not have to deal with these inflation issues and all these types of things that cryptocurrency and digital assets bring to the table. So I'm excited that all these things are going down. I thought it was an interesting story, but it kind of gives you guys an insight as to, first of all, how things move slowly in Congress and the Senate and in the legislative process of the U.S. government, but also about how little these people know. And it'd be interesting to see if, just like Mark Zuckerberg was hauled before Congress to testify about the Libra coin, wouldn't that be great if they could get Brad Garlinghouse to come in and sit down with the entire Congress and explain to them about blockchain, how things work and everything else, with Kelly Loeffler leading the charge. Who knows? Anyhow, that is it for today's video. I want to say thanks so much for going through the rants. Sorry for any profanity, just how I do sometimes. And again, if you could help us slay that YouTube algorithm, hit the like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next video.